Welcome to the Milk Bottle e-commerce show, brought to you by Milk Bottle Labs, one of the world's top-rated accredited Shopify experts. The Irish-based Milk Bottle Labs team upgrade, migrate, manage and advise some of the highest-performing Shopify stores worldwide. Founder Keith Matthews interviews merchants, developers, fellow agency owners and Shopify folk to share as many Shopify tips and tricks as possible. If you're planning on upgrading to Shopify 2.0 or migrating over to Shopify, reach out. Milk Bottle will help. This podcast is kindly supported by our favorite Shopify app. Rewind.io is the leading backup solution for Shopify. It's the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever get for your Shopify account, and it's supporting data. Now, over to Keith.
Hey folks, welcome back to a very important 100th episode of the Milk Bottle e-commerce show. What started out in October 2018 as an experiment has managed to spread our e-commerce learnings as far as Australia, India, Nigeria and Italy. And would you believe 25% of our downloads come from the United States? Thanks for listening, and we really appreciate the support over the last 5 years. Joining us today are DP Fitzgerald and Matthew Gavin from Mycel, a Dublin-based performance marketing agency that specialise in TikTok. So let's understand exactly what TikTok is, what it can do for your e-commerce business, and let's go through the history of TikTok and how it has become the most popular social media platform on the planet. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hello,
Mr. Matthews. How are tricks?
Congratulations
So-
on 100.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank
Big
you.
deal.
I had...
You look great for it.
It's actually not stressful. It becomes more enjoyable when you get to episode 99.
Oh, well, in that case, you look terrible.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. It's great to have you. It's a special episode. I'm going to get emotional now. I'm only joking. But it's special because I know you both.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew, I know you through a former project that we worked on together.
Yeah, a number of years ago.
Yeah. Give us a bit of your background.
Checkered past, probably. But my background is fundamentally it comes from, I guess, a base of digital marketing, social media, and really sports marketing and understanding how to position brands and use ambassadors in that realm. That was a good few years ago, and I kind of went on from there after starting and kind of really being at the helm of an agency, from introducing big brands into how could they operate on Instagram, Facebook, etc. back in that time. And that was probably, around 2012 or something like that. So like 10 years ago now. I took those principles into, because I wanted to go from an agency and really I have some assumptions about how to do things. And I always like to test them out. So I was like, right, I have to test these assumptions that I know work for smallish brands or medium-sized brands, but I really want to be at the helm of a large brand and go international. And that was in the form of Innocent Drinks, the smoothie company.
Are they still a poster child within that industry?
Yeah, they are to a certain extent. Certainly they have a legacy, thankfully, because of how the company was founded. And their marketing principles, I think, are ageless, which is really good. It's really just around, do the right thing, surprise and delight customers and be honest. And a couple of fundamental principles of their operating procedures within the business have stuck with me. So my time there was amazing. Absolutely loved it. And I got an opportunity, which is the project we met on, to launch a company across,
CBD.
CBD company. So it was a very interesting space. I was familiar with CBD and what was happening over in kind of the States and where that was going. So I figured it was the right time to take on a project like that. And we launched it across Europe, North America, Australia, New Zealand. And it really introduced me to the world of time zones. I think I'm working in different time zones, but long days and all the rest. And it was very, very fun. Really good fun. And again, amazing people in that. But that was the foundation of taking those digital marketing principles, but really looking at how do you build a category and how do you, in an evolving category. And because we were very fortunate to be, one of a few players that were backed to a very high level and all the rest that goes with that, we had access and conversations with the right level of people to understand how retailers think about bringing in a new category from the start. And we would work with very, very large retailers, specifically in the pharmacy sector across the UK and Ireland and Canada, of how to build the CBD category within their business. So seeing how they did that really fascinated me. Plus, when we started to work together, because we needed an online store, at that time it was kind of the thing to do. You had to build an online store, and I was previously on my very few hours of spare time that I had was building my own stores to test it out. And we hired Milk Bottle Labs, and
you haven't been able to get away from us since?
Haven't been able to get away from you since. No, enjoyed it too much. So
I worked in banking for a while, and the regulation associated with trying to launch a product is just phenomenal. And CBD is obviously, for many, many good reasons, did you find it frustrating?
I found it stressful. More stressful, I think, because there was always solutions, but you were kind of impacted by the bad actors, even if you were a good actor.
Very good point.
Yeah, so that was more of it. You were more frustrated at other companies and how they were damaging the perception of the category you were in versus, it just, everyone was painted with the same brush no matter what you were doing. Okay. So it was an interesting one. But one thing it did lead me to discover is no matter what category or product or business you're in, having a fundamental platform or of how you transact with customers or how you interact with customers. And there's so many different ways and workarounds you can do for anything from like when we were building the site at that time, it is so regulated that, we couldn't use paid social media channels. So imagine you turn around to any retailer, any brand right now and say, all your paid is gone. What do you do and where do you put your money? And are you going to still have customers that are loyal to you, even if you turn off your ad spend?
Yeah, it's tough.
Can you get sales? So a lot of what we did, it was back to basics and really get the fundamentals that worked because we didn't have ad spend.
Forces you back to Google principles from about 1998.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pure SEO plus others. Yeah.
Good. TP. How are you?
I'm very, very well.
Good. I suppose I will admit that I know you very well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we've worked together for the last 5 years, was it?
It must be, 6 years probably now at this stage.
And how did we meet?
I think I tracked you down, didn't I? When I was head of online for Golden Discs. And we were getting up online for the first time. Well, we had a presence, but we were building our first e-com store in 97, I think. 2007.
Did you build the first Shopify store yourself?
Yes. We were going to go independent and build a bespoke store, and Shopify was just gaining traction at the time in, like I say, 2017 there. And we were advised by a few developers to go that route. And then once we started the path, I think I built the first iteration myself. And then when we went to the second iteration, we decided to get professional help. And somehow you fell into that category.
Professional.
And that was the start of our friendship.
And you won Website of the Year last year.
Yeah, large online retailer. Went to Golden Discs last year by the REI, for which we were very, very grateful. Big accolade. We were delighted with it. To be honest, I wasn't quite expecting it, but it was a lovely way to kind of put the crown on 5 years of hard work.
Yeah.
In fairness, we went for the smaller retailer like 2 or 3 years previous. I think it was pre-COVID, and I didn't get it, and it stung with me,
Yeah.
So it was nice to be able to achieve it a few years later.
Yeah, for our listeners, check it out. GoldenDisc.ie is one of the last men standing within the entertainment space category in Ireland. Well worth a look. DP, how on earth does somebody like you just go from basically trying it yourself, which everybody did do in 2017, 2016 or whatever? Shopify was marketed as a self-build platform. And in actual fact, it is now too, although it's become wildly complex to build a store properly, to utilize all of the tools in Shopify. But, what's your background?
Well, how far back do I go? After college, I did a year in Oz, like so many people. Then I went to London and worked front of camera media for 10 or 12 years. Then I moved into tech startup space. Funnily enough, now working on a TikTok agency. Our business back 10 years ago was short form editing for short form content. So it was possibly ahead of its time, but tragically that little startup hit the wall. And after it hit the wall, I ripped the cartilage in my knee at the same time. I was also going out with a girl in Dublin, and it just seemed like the right time to move back to Dublin.
Yeah.
So lots of flags brought me back here, and then I went out for a couple of pints with my brother, who is the CEO of Golden Discs, and he was like, look, we need to get an e-com store live. You've just come from a tech background, a media background. Are you interested? And it was a very casual conversation to start. I was like, yeah, look, I'll come in for 3 years. By year 3, we'll have it as an A-class store. Sure, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So 3 years quickly turned to 5 years.
Yeah.
And then at the start of this year, we decided, look, now's the time. I'm going to look at something else, Steve. And myself and Matt have known each other for some time. And just all the pieces seem to just align. I think that's the way it happens in life sometimes.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. No, look, I always say everybody has a story. And I won't say this again, but we'll leave the links in the show note. The site is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, man.
I think did you turn 50 at the same time? Not you. Sorry, that wasn't a slip.
60.
That wasn't a slip.
Not me.
Yeah. So the store turned 60.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Irish people listening to this will be very much aware of who Golden Discs are. So the store turned 60 and then we did a complete revamp with you of the store.
My father and my uncle kicked it off 60 years ago, yeah. And then we've pretty much rebranded it roughly every 10 years over the decades. Like if you go into Dundrum, you'll see the logos from every decade.
Yeah.
And it was just the right time. And obviously having Milk Bottle on board, we went all out, and henceforth the award, I expect.
Yeah, for us, it also shows the importance of an overall rebrand and how that ties in with your strategy to expand the store and redesign the store. It's not just as easy as choosing a logo and just choosing colours.
No, we set aside investment beforehand. We knew it would cost a few coins, and we went for it. Now, that said, there was an awful lot of head bashing in the office of creatives and coming up with new ideas. It wasn't all outsourced. But I think the combination of knowing what we wanted internally and then not being afraid to invest in the right designers, developers, and launch was what got it over the line.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
It's a nice award to get. Okay, Matthew, I am not a TikTok fan. Of course, I know exactly what TikTok is.
We'll be off then.
Well, you can hang around for a few more minutes. At the moment, right, Twitter is out of favour with a lot of people. I hear people, of my age, they don't log into Facebook anymore other than just to connect with their international friends. I don't use Facebook, but I am connected to people all over the world, which is a good reason to keep it. And I believe that it actually has a value in that. And then you have TikTok and then you have Instagram competing with each other. So in terms of at a high level, what is the state of play with social right now? And what is the state of play with TikTok?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think they all are, over the next couple of years, they will all merge into some form of mirror image of each other, probably. And I think at the moment they're fighting to capture as many people using the platform as possible. But they will all likely form into something similar when you look at it. Someone discovers something and the big ones, like any big business does, replicates it and then has the distribution to take market share in that space. So what the state of play is I'd advise people, if you're looking at the social media landscape entirely, don't pick every platform to be on. You don't need to. People fall into a trap of saying we need to have a presence on every platform. It's really understanding about what you sell and who you sell to really is the most important thing, and what are their purchasing behaviors. And then understand the role one or two platforms will play in that. With a caveat, you're always going to have Google. They're too big to fail at this stage. People are saying, OpenAI and ChatGPT, it's the end of Google. Absolute nonsense. It's not, at all. And that's been proven, now. But people's, behavior patterns haven't changed in search. They're still searching Google as much as ever. So what I'd say is understand what you're selling. So if you're a retail store and who your customers are, is the big thing,
But I just think sometimes it doesn't suit a lot of brands, and yet they're on it and they're investing in content just to do it and just to kind of tick the box more than anything.
We can go into content in a bit, but what I always try to advise people is when we come in, we're coming in for a purpose. What we do is we take that high level picture, and yes, we're an official TikTok agency partner, and we are definitely TikTok experts and have helped countless brands navigate that space, old and young.
So let's just jump into that. So let's just jump into Mycel. So you're an accredited TikTok partner. So if I approach Mycel, what would you guys do for my brand?
Yeah, what happens when you come to Mycel is we really see ourselves very different to most agencies. And that comes from myself having sat on pretty much every table, and seat on the table around how brands and retailers work with agencies. I've been on the brand side launching in a retailer. I've been on the retailer side, managing the online store. And then I've also been in the agency side offering service. So taking that into account when you come to Mycel, what we do is, we're the performance partner to online retailers. And what that means is we are a partner. We try not to use the word agency because we really see our relationships as partners. When you bring us in, you're effectively bringing, what is a wealth of experience of how to really grow and manage online stores profitably and effectively. And like we said, yes, we're a TikTok agency partner, and I've had a really in-depth experience with that platform over the last number of years, working with large brands like Ryanair, Supermax, Club Orange, Boyne Valley Group, Tirlon, DHL, countless of these large brands, and guiding them into that strategy and space. But one of the things I do try to inform people is TikTok isn't a holy grail. It's part of your mix. And we don't just do TikTok for people. We also do Google. We also do Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram ads. And we don't try force people into an avenue that's not right. What we say is, okay, what are you doing currently? What's working well for you? We don't want to try fix anything that isn't broken. So we take a category approach. You come into us, we'll sit down, we'll have a good kind of number of hours meetings over a consecutive couple of weeks and quite, intense period of audit. And we really kind of lift the lid on every aspect of your business, and we need the data. And then what we do is we look at your categories and we try advise you from a category first approach at the beginning. And that is, we'll see what one or two categories probably equate to 60-70% of your sales. It is likely what we see in most businesses. And then what we say is, right, if your primary avenues of sales channels for those are Google and Instagram, and Facebook, which it likely is for most of those businesses, we say, well, let's take what's working well on that and let's just launch those onto TikTok, and we'll get the ball rolling, and you'll see the impact of that sales channel. Now, the content is very different on each to sell, and that's a different story. But in general, if you're doing very well, no matter the product, in our experience, on one platform, be it Google and Instagram, that customer is on TikTok and you can get sales there.
Okay. And DP, in terms of the day-to-day, are you analysing the trends on TikTok? Are you just sucking in all of this information that brands don't even have the time to gather, and then using that to advise the client? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, that'd be one of the tools in the arsenal. Yes, definitely. On an organic front, we very much focus on trends and try and advise our clients on what trends to be a part of. I'd recommend even looking at Golden Discs TikTok for best practice. There's a certain amount of product there. There's a bit of crack being had. There's a bit of TikTok fun. Yes, it's probably a younger demographic on TikTok, but like kids' movies these days, you can still attract any demographic, even though the bulk of people may be a bit younger than Facebook or Insta.
But if the demographic is younger, is it harder to convert that into sales?
That's kind of the myth, but no, is the simple answer. No, young people actually do have money to spend as well. And believe it or not, they're spending most of that money online.
So they're natively online, of course.
Yeah, much more so than our generation or the generations before us, who are much more familiar with the retail space. They're going to go do their Christmas shopping in a weekend in town, whereas a lot of the generation behind us, Gen Z, don't even consider going into town to do their shopping. It's done on their mobile phone at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I would say to just talk about conversions on TikTok specifically and who's purchasing. Like, the myth is that it's only young people and it's these 18 to 22-year-olds.
That was my next question. So what is the profile of the customer?
The profile of the content viewer on TikTok is definitely, it skews younger. So the bulk of them would be between that, probably 22 to 32-year-old would be the big bulk. But the purchaser on TikTok skews a lot older. It really does. It's mid to late 30s, early 40s. And it's probably, 80% female. And that's what we're seeing across the board with our clients. DP's talked about, a bit about how Golden Discs operate, but other brands to look at would be, say, Mars again, and how we guide people in what their organic strategy is. And that changes weekly. Like, the dynamic of TikTok it's a trend-based platform.
Like, how do you stay on top of those trends?
Oh,
and that's probably the secret sauce.
Yeah, you have to sign up, and there's a 6-month contract involved with that.
But is it changing that quickly?
Yeah, it is. Honestly, one of the big things is, so what we have, I won't give away too many of the hidden secrets and the secret ingredients, but it is really important that and what I say to people is, one, you're sitting on a wealth of content you have no idea that you have. And we show you exactly what that statement means when you're in with us, and we go through your audit and strategy and what actually you have to go with. You have so much TikTok content you would not believe, and it's just at your fingertips. And then the other one is, you can't plan ahead. So we know months in advance. We know what Q4 looks like for everyone at the moment from a pillars to hit. We don't know what those videos are going to look like. We know what some of them are going to look like, not all of them. And we won't know till 5 days out what those videos are going to be 3 days out and potentially 1 day, depending on the trend.
Just hold that thought while we listen to our sponsors. Rewind.io is the leading data backup solution for your Shopify store. Did you know that there is no way of recovering lost data in Shopify? If your store is gaining traction, you may have multiple staff or third-party developers entering your store. Mistakes can happen and data can be easily deleted. Rewind.io puts you in control of your data, allowing you to restore anything accidentally lost from a single image to an entire store. It acts as a pretty cheap insurance policy for your Shopify account. At Milk Bottle, we help clients reduce their business risk by installing Rewind in every single store before we make any changes. Get your first month for free by simply replying to your sign-up email. So you have a bank of content, and then DP, you decide on what content goes live in the next campaign for that product launch based on all of the analysis that you've done on the platform in general. Is that a short summary?
Well, the client would have the bank of content. We would be tracking trends, and it sounds easy. There's actually a lot of man hours that go into it, and then we would be adapting your content for those trends so that you can maximize the exposure of it. The most amount of eyeballs get to see it. You know, it sounds pretty basic, but actually there's a little bit of trickery-pokery in making that all happen. And there's a lot of forward man hours of just staying ahead of those trends, because there's no cheat sheet. There's TikTok don't release what's trending this week. You've got to put in the work.
What you're doing, it kind of reminds me of us on Shopify back in 2015-16 when it was all new and you had to kind of work it out for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now information is easier, but if the trends are changing, as you say, every week, well then there's secret sauce there. It's not just... It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, we sit down with our clients on a weekly basis and talk to their team about how and what to shoot, you know.
So you sit down with your clients then, and do you plan a month ahead or do you plan a quarter ahead?
We plan, like Maddie was saying, we plan strategically. Now, at the moment, we're sorting out all the Q4 calendars, so technically we're 3 months in advance.
Right.
But on a posting basis, it's week by week. You know, we can strategize what we're looking to hit. Like, there's obviously dates in the diary, like Black Friday, Christmas, Halloween. But the actual trends and sounds and various ways in which we're going to put out that content could change within 2 or 3 days of it being posted.
Okay. Matthew, does it require then organization by a client to work with you? Because you've mentioned, like, you know, it's sitting on somebody's mobile phone. Does it require organization for that client then to have all of this content properly, you know, stored or, you know, in a directory for it to pull out when they need it?
Yeah, so from having been on the brand side and retail side, at Mycel, our approach is we like to think that you know exactly what's going on, but you don't even need to think about it when you work with us. So when you come in, we kind of take over and we really guide you and bring you through it. And we do everything and we kind of say, this is happening. This is our plan. This is what's going on. And like that, we just say, look, here's our system behind the scenes. This is what you're coming into. That system is to be honest with you, it's incredibly advanced and detailed. Like, it really is. There's a lot that goes into it and a lot of processes. And then they kind of plug in and we, for want of a better term, like suck the content, you know, and we just say, put it out and we'll make it work. And what that is anything they have from an assets point of view, be it videos, pre-shot ones, whatever it is, even anything they're posting on their stories, anything they put on their reels, on any other platform, we actually download that, whether they know it or not. Anything they're posting on their story, we have in a bank already, you know, within a couple of hours. And then what happens then is we're sitting on this bank. So again, organic content's one thing, and feeding the beast of ad manager of, you know, it's not a picture and copy. Like Google, when you look at it, it's just words, you know, and images to a large extent. Obviously, YouTube is at play now more and more, but to a large extent, it's words and flat images. And then Facebook as well, like the biggest thing is dynamic catalogs, you know, which comes from your product feed in your store and then just copy. If you imagine, like, try sit down on your phone and create a 60-second video yourself, see how long that takes, and then try create per client maybe 100 to 200 of those at the start of every month.
But people are doing it on their phone and people are getting followers and people are making a living out of it.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point. And I suppose the point there, and actually a client said it to me only last week, was we spent so long on this video, on one video, and then we spent so little time on the other video, but it was the one they spent the least amount of time on that got the hits. Yeah. And, you know, the algorithm of TikTok and Reels is a graph perspective. It's not linear. It doesn't equate to how many followers you have. It's all about audience signals, watch time, shares, interactions. And taking that base of knowledge that we have, we almost mentor business and bring their teams through it. So one, we make sure any content you post on whatever platform, we have it in a bank and can use it in either ads or organic content. And then it's kind of like if you don't speak French or another language, you need a translator to speak that language. So everyone's used to Instagram. Everyone kind of knows how Instagram works. But when people turn on to TikTok, it's like double Dutch, and we come in as a translator.
Yeah, well, that's a good way of putting it, actually, the translator. But DP, I'm very skeptical of vanity metrics, right? And Facebook brought this to us, I put up a picture and I got 25 likes or I got 10,000 plays or whatever. Like if I was a brand and I was involved with an agency that was managing my TikTok account, the easiest thing to do, the CEO could just go in and say, oh, well, that got 100,000. And we did our own last year. And it took 2 minutes to create and it got 250,000. Is it hard to educate the client on that and bring them up to speed on it? Because it's not all about
I think the days of views and likes are probably behind us. Like when you were talking a minute ago there about, I remember we spent loads of money hiring an Adele lookalike for this really clever video we were going to put out with the agency we had at the time. And it flopped. But the agency told us the next day they got 1 million views on a video of a sheep jumping through a field.
Yeah.
And you're scratching your head going, here. But I think for us talking to our clients, it's a lot more probably results-based, and we kind of, in Mycel, move away from ROAS per se, your return on ad spend, because even that has now become a little bit outdated. What we tried to do, and I hope I'm not lifting the curtain too much here, but we look at the profitability of the product range of our clients, what's moving the most, and what brings in margin. So myself and Matt actually were just talking about it in a meeting there last week, without sounding too corny, we call it like POAS. Like your profit on ad spend is really where we try to focus our attention, because when everyone's focusing on ROAS, they're fixing ad budgets for Q4. We're going to spend X. Why? Yeah. Why are you spending X? If I'm bringing you in Y percentage on every ad I put out, surely your ad budget should be a blank check.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the USPs of Mycel. We're focused on profit rather than spend.
It's funny you mentioned that. In the Shopify world, everybody's convinced that the conversion rate is the key metric.
Yeah.
And I've said this a few times in the podcast. I mean, the first metric I look for in any store is the customer return rate. And if it's below 30%, start selling to the customers that already bought off you.
What's the height of that? Just out of curiosity, because I remember our return customer was tipping over 50.
Yeah.
And I was like, are we going too high when I used to work in GDs? What is the best?
Well, firstly, there's generally trends. So if you analyse your customer return rate properly, you need to turn it into sections. So it could be 80% the day you sent out that Black Friday email, and it could be 40% the next week. So if you analyse it based on your kind of marketing spend, you get a better number. But if your customer return rate is 80 or 90% all of the time, your repeat customer return rate, well, then you're not recruiting enough customers. So some marketeers would tell you 50-50 is perfect. I would say 60 to 70 is perfect, because then you're only paying to recruit the other 30. And then you know that you're going to resell to the 30 or 40% that you don't have a second time. So you could do a thesis on it. But to answer your question, at a high level, it's completely based on your marketing channels, the size of your brand, the product that you're selling. Is it seasonal? I'm making it sound really, really complicated. But to go back to the point, that's the first metric we look at. Matthew, to go back to what DP just mentioned there, is profit first, isn't it?
Yeah, it is profit first. And over the years, probably the last 6 or 7 years, Shopify and e-commerce has ballooned, become this massive bubble. And it's been a drug and an addiction for retailers and online stores and brands that do it now. And the one metric or drug you'd say that people keep chasing is conversions. The number of sales on the store is what everyone focuses on. Every month, how many sales did we get? What's the number of sales we got? How does that compare to last year? And we kind of not throw that out the window, but try reframe their thinking to say, look, here's actually, year on year, and we have quite advanced dashboards done where we go into a store and we do audit it for a number of years back and say, this is actually your profit per month that you achieved on your store. Now, you've spent this and your conversions went up and you sold more units, but your profitability is going down and down and down, and your average order value is going down and down and down. And we tried to stop that bleed. And I can tell you now, there hasn't been one customer that doesn't have that bleed going on and they didn't know about it. Or they did know about it, and they didn't know what to do about it. But it is an issue across the board now that I think, not now, but after Q4, middle of next year, maybe Q2 next year, I think you'll start to see a lot of shift in strategies, hopefully, of retailers online to say, hold on, why are we being busy fools here? Because when you think, okay, let's just say we had 100 orders last month. The year before we had, 50 orders. Oh, well, year-on-year growth, 100%. We've just doubled, Wow, amazing. If you look at what your average order value and profitability was and your cost to get that consumer, that's probably your cost to get that consumer has gone higher. Your average order value is probably lower. And then what's your cost to fulfill that order? This hidden metric that affects your profitability as well.
Yeah.
So you're paying more to fulfill orders. You're better off selling higher value. And I'm not saying, look, quadruple your prices and all the rest. I'm really talking about, would you sacrifice 10 to 15% of your sales volume to make an increase of 20, 30% profit to the business every month?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, you would do that. Like we've one of our clients, won't say the name of them, but we've been in with them for a while now, and year on year, their profitability is up 40% in the time we started working with them because of this profit per month.
But your turnover could be down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it'd only be down, marginally.
Marginally, yeah. Yeah, in Shopify, as you both very well know, you can place the cost price of the product into the product page. And I often wonder, DP, will they create a metric out of that? Like, in other words, Shopify could actually show you the profitability on the store. And like other apps are doing it, and other dashboard reporting tools are doing it.
Or you could come to us and we'll do it.
You come to me and I'll do it.
Wait a minute.
DP, well, many years ago, we used to do Google Ads, and then I've got decent familiarity with that terrible Facebook advertising platform. How they get away with it is just beyond me. Is the TikTok platform, is it sophisticated? Is it difficult? Is it complicated?
You mean in the ad center?
The ads platform, yeah.
I think a lot of the social network ads platforms are all mirrored on each other, if I'm honest. Probably because whoever got there first, be it Google, probably the leading edge was the bleeding edge. They learnt all the lessons, so why repeat the same mistakes? And also it makes it easier because most retailers are on multiple platforms now. So why would you design a dashboard that's completely unique? It's only a barrier to entry. So I think they probably make it their business to mirror each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them use the same principles. And like one of the interesting things about TikTok is, yes, fundamentally all of them have the same tools, basically. They all take in your product feed. You can manipulate that product feed to, filter it out. And then what you do after that data's come in is similar at a base level. Catalog ads. TikTok now is even introducing search ads, which is quite interesting. It's visual based, but they do have a search one. And this is where it's the layer on top of unique products on each ad platform. That's the difference. So, TikTok has Spark ads that work brilliantly well. So whether it's your own content or influencer content or ambassador content that's put out on the platform, you can get a Spark code, which is the code behind that video. And then you can run that video in whatever campaign objective you want, from an add to cart, shop now ad, as one of your ad creatives. They also have, a number of other tools, smart performance campaign, which you kind of set it and forget it. It's this amazing beast of and we've seen ferocious returns from it, to be honest with you. But you give it, could be 10 to 20 or 30 ad creatives, and then you load that up. And the spend has to be really high. So, don't get involved if you don't want to spend over, 1,000, 1,500 euro a day. And then that goes out into the world and it does automatic targeting so quickly and finds the right customer with the right ad creative across the demographics for whatever promotion you're doing or advertisement. And we've seen that as an incredible tool from TikTok.
Facebook have an equivalent. You pointed it to me. What's it called again?
Well, Facebook have Advantage Plus campaigns
Advantage
now,
Plus, yeah. And
they're tricky. They are tricky. Like, Facebook is amazing. Hands down, the majority of your sales is always going to come from Facebook and Google, And I think where TikTok sits in that model is it's a really strong one for, one, brand discovery, and also two, conversions to a large extent. And I'd say from a cost effectiveness, when you think about it, everyone is putting spend into that auction on Meta and Google. So it's a very competitive auction. Not as many people are sitting around the same table on TikTok, but you're getting cheaper sales because there's not as many people competing in that auction. So the cost is actually lower. At the moment. That will change very soon as more.
So within 24 months, that'll probably change, will it?
Yeah, definitely. And you see it now, like compared to the 2 years ago when, we were launching brands when I was launching brands on TikTok and changing their strategy, and the organic views were incredible because there wasn't that many brands doing anything of note.
Yeah.
And if you were a brand and you did something of note, I mean, it was like wildfire. But now the saturation is beginning. And the life cycle, when you think of maturity of life cycle of social media platforms, what they try to do is get you in to watch the content and become a user so you return. And then they try change your behavior pattern so you're more familiar with purchasing through the platform. And Facebook and Instagram and Google have all built up really strong behavior patterns and trust with the consumer. And TikTok is getting that more and more, and it's going along that journey. But it's not there right now compared to Meta and Instagram. But one of the core stats I would say for people to take into consideration when evaluating should they be on TikTok or not is that TikTok has a metric that's really key, and a lot of other platforms don't have this. It's called view-through attribution. So the view-through attribution on TikTok is how many people saw your TikTok ad and didn't take the desired action of that campaign, whether it's add to cart or purchase, whatever, but did go on to take that action on your site through another means. So they did eventually take that action on your site, but they didn't come directly through the TikTok platform. And that number is between 3 to 4 times greater than the actual number of actions that are being taken on your site. So it's having this huge impact, and we see it night and day.
Is that just a report, that number they give you? Or they're not attributing that revenue on the store to them, are they?
No, they're not attributing the revenue on the store to them. That's just saying, so direct revenue coming through ads, you can see, complete payment revenue on TikTok, and that is direct. But what it will also give you is how many people, so not within that number, so not within the reported complete payment number, is view-through attribution. And that's how many people went on to take that action on the site, but didn't do it directly through TikTok. And that number is 3 to 4 times greater. That shows the impact of it
at the platform.
And like one of the best things to do, but not often people do, is post-purchase attribution surveys. And one of the things is 79% of TikTok sales that were, when you do a post-purchase attribution survey and you ask the customer, where did you see an ad to come and purchase this product?
That's it.
79% of the sales that were reported to TikTok from the post-purchase attribution survey weren't recorded in last click, attribution models. So, there's this 80% of sales that's missing. And it's only when you do a post-purchase attribution survey that you find that 80% factor.
That's really important, because if you add together your AdWords attribution and your Klaviyo attribution, but like it's always more than 100%.
For sure.
So that's a very honest kind of a metric.
No, it is a very honest metric. I think so. And that's why I think, yes, we know the power of TikTok, and we really try beat the drum of the power of TikTok and the part it plays in the marketing mix.
Yeah.
But it's why we take a very top overview principles approach of, like, you want to come in and we want to see that for every euro we spend for you as a business, we're making you more profit. And where we spend that euro doesn't matter. You can trust us that we know where to spend it, because we do a hell of a lot of research and tests on that point.
Good, great stuff. So DP, how did you guys end up working together in Mycel?
Well, I've known Maddie for a few years now through business. I had brought Golden Discs to a point that I wanted to get it to. And Mycel just seemed to be entering the most exciting space that I could identify in digital marketing. I've done the head of online for a long period, and I wanted to move over to the other side, the marketing fence. And TikTok, although, like Matt said, it doesn't bring the majority of conversions whereby Meta and Google will, it's definitely the most exciting playground to be in. I'm not going to deny that I've probably watched too many Get Ready With Me videos over the last couple of weeks. But apart from that, it's no coincidence that I come from a front of camera presenting background and running an editing platform. It all just seemed to click in at the right time for me. There's a fast learning curve when you join an agency like Maddie's here. Like, he's been established for 7 months, but we work well together. And I'd say, to answer your question, more importantly than anything, it was the right person. I trust Maddie. I think in a partnership, that's probably the biggest question you have to deal with first, no matter what the business is you're doing. So in the last couple of months, the speed at which we've grown the agency is eye-watering. And the future is orange.
So Matthew, after the CBD experience, what direction did you take?
Well, from that, like I mentioned, I saw what was happening online with large retailers trying to kind of sell into them as a brand. And I saw how that infrastructure was working. I had built my own Shopify store with you. You kind of led on that. And then I was tinkering around on the outside as well with my own different stores and everything like that. So I knew e-commerce was the big play for the future back then. And it wasn't as prominent as it was now. I mean, there's probably 2 heads of online or 3, and one of them was DP, and there was a couple of others at the same time, and I was hoping to be one. So I really made the shift, or my focus on trying to get there as a head of online to command the business. And that opportunity came up, fortunately, with an amazing business called Mars Pharmacy. And I became the head of online for Mars Pharmacy, which was brilliant. Uno Hagen, who is a really incredible person.
Who, by the way, who has been on the podcast?
Who has been on the podcast, exactly.
Best,
yes.
most, one of the most downloaded interviews.
Until now.
Yeah, until now.
we've only just recorded this.
Yeah, no, we're far from that. Maybe in the future, hopefully. But look, I think Una has been an incredible mentor and just someone that I was really privileged to be on her senior management team with her and learn from her. And we continue to have a great relationship, to this day. And Mars are a customer of ours as well. And look, it works incredibly well. But that experience then, again, taught me the power of online and everything and how to structure a business. And then again, like going into that, I had principles of how you should operate a business and pillars online and different factors that need to be sorted out. And I brought that to Mars and executed on that plan. Some might say not aggressively, but probably sternly. People might know me for, I'm a very, I think, straight person, but I push the pace is probably a good way to describe it, of the environment I'm in, or I try to. And what that led to was I ended up getting an opportunity to kind of co-found an agency called Fabric Social, which was a great experience and one that I really couldn't turn down. So we launched it, and it was specifically around TikTok, kind of 2 years ago now. We're just over it, where it was new to the game, but we were at the very cutting edge. We worked with global brands on their national and international campaigns for the platform and their content strategies for that platform. And I've seen it evolve. And from that experience of like brands like Tato, for example, like Tato being a very mature brand in the space of an old category of crisps and confectionery, they saw the value of TikTok to really engage the younger audience and more of a competitive tactic. So what they did was they came to us and like building those strategies for those brands to really bring them and make them sing on that platform with a younger audience. But I always had an itch that was never really scratched of e-commerce. That was very organic and salience-driven marketing where, you wanted to remember one of our videos when you walked into the shelf of a Spar, Tesco, Duns or wherever, and you'd pick up that product. But I'm a metrics man, I'm a data head, and I love the numbers and immediate feedback. And I think, we worked with extremely large businesses that are huge global businesses. I really love working with medium-sized businesses and retailers.
Well, they're the core of the economy.
They're the core of the economy, and the impact we can have to that business and from a shift in mindset and following our strategies is incredible. It really is. Like across the board on clients, when we come in, and we've been very fortunate so far, that we work with very few people and we actively say no to a lot of people because of that. And when we say yes to one thing, that automatically says no to a lot of other things. And if you're not right for us, as in you're not a retailer, you're not the right size of business for us, you need to be, on the kind of higher end of that medium spectrum to large. And the bigger the company, the bigger the impact we seem to have through these foundational principles. And it's really great and so rewarding. We've grown someone first month, everyone don't expect this, but for example, a new customer year on year, first month, 15%, second month, 40%.
Just on that, is it hard to keep beating the metric? We work with some stores that are growing wonderfully at 20% consistently every year, and at the last 12 months, 18 months, a lot of stores are down, because of various different reasons. It could be personal reasons, business owner reasons. It could be their location of their retail store. There's multiple reasons why a business doesn't grow. But if you, DP, get somebody 40% lift in 1 month, well, then do you have to get 50 the next month?
Yeah, a lot of our
50% fees increase. That's what
a lot of our retailers would kind of have a seasonal calendar, so you wouldn't necessarily go month on month, but year on year. We're less than a year old, so we've yet to answer that question properly. But no, I think there's plenty of room for growth I think there's going to be plenty of movement in the landscape itself. And also, as we mentioned already, our USP is more looking internally at your product range rather than external growth in the market. How to increase the profitability of your business rather than the volume of content you're putting out there.
Yeah.
I'd probably say is what, like, we come in, and this might be counterintuitive, but people are probably trying to do too much and be too advanced. And what we come in is we sharpen the axe at the start, and we spend the time, like DP said, there's a lot of tools and metrics we look at, so that when we do pull the trigger, we actually do less and we just do more of what works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Work smart, not hard.
Yeah.
DP, before we finish, if you were to give an SME brand, a brand that you're working with, let's say, give them one tip on what to do on TikTok between now and the end of the year, what would it be?
Prepare, I suppose, goes without saying. You know, don't be caught off guard on the 20th of November, planning for Black Friday. You know, put a bit of a loose strategy together now, or deal with a professional agency and put a proper strategy together. And probably, you know, if you have the right strategy in place, spend. You know, don't be tight-fisted on your budget because...
That's two pieces of advice. I asked for one.
Well, I'll charge you double afterwards. Yeah, don't be afraid to spend.
So what you're saying is, in your experience, customers you spend do get a return. Is that what you're saying?
If they're structured properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maddie, what would you say?
Yeah, look, I'm going to do 3 really quick points of advice. One is focus on your email list. You know, that's it. That's really going to be really important, and the emails you're putting out there. 2, look at last year. One product probably made 20 to 30% of your revenue last year. Really focus on that. Don't get distracted. And 3 is bundle, upsell and cross-sell. Make sure you have that sorted.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, I can't disagree with either of you. You know, look, guys, it's been a really, really enjoyable conversation and a great 100th episode. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, look, man,
Thank
huge
you.
congratulations.
Huge
100 podcasts is no mean feat. Whoa.
It's brilliant.
Now we're going to crack open that bottle of whiskey.
Whiskey. Yeah, that's it. Let's go.
We'll talk to you soon, folks.
Thanks for listening. All of our episodes are available on Apple, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. If you're an e-commerce professional with an exciting story to tell, reach out to the team on hello@milkbottlelabs.com. Until the next time, take care.